Sorry. What about sending call? It's like at the room. I didn't see her even. Yeah. Yes. So we're gonna make it that. Budget. Oh, this is what I get all the time. All right. Where's our teacher? That's what I thought. Putting that use at school, nothing wrong with that. She has some wedding pictures. There's several.
Your report should shared it with me. If you don't mind, come up to the main picture of
Katie, I'll write you down. Okay, thank you.
So, go to Katie. This I need to get so many change it to
Yes, and then if you give it to Bobby, then
Okay, good. That should be to you now. You just want to double check it.
how do I get you a link to our to Bobby?
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Is it there, Greg?
Like a 4 screen up there, like if you have that big. I'd be terrified to see Bobby having 4 screens up there.
Lisa, do you have a link that you need to share with Bobby for yours?
I just have it.
Okay.
200 is as big as it's gonna get.
That's okay.
Do you have a copy of it?
Oh, yeah. I've got everything.
Okay.
I got an extra copy too. Yeah. Yeah, I have one. I have to share. I forgot.
You good? Yeah. You good?
Are they able to see it on these?
Yeah, they're up here on these two and then on the dashboard.
It's a lot easier with the internet first, guys. Sorry, with the little delay.
Yeah.
You want me to make the font bigger? I can make the font bigger so you can see it.
I think everybody here can have a copy, right?
Yeah, if not, we'll share. All right, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. Just a heads up, the internet's pretty persistent, so the Zoom link may go down. Just try and stay connected if you can, or try and reconnect if you lose it. Also the same thing for the website live feed, as well, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. So, to get started, we'll go ahead and stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's nice.
All right, thanks everybody for being here tonight. We'll go ahead and get started with our consent agenda, the approval of the order of business, as well as the approval of the April 15th, May 2nd, and 15th, 2024 special board meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, the approval of the order of business, and the April 16th, May 2nd, 15th special board meeting minutes.
Is there any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, we have Canvas 2024, the election and recommendation to accept the results.
I'll make a motion to canvass the 2024 election and recommendation to accept the results.
I'll second.
Is there any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, we have reorganization of the board.
Just go right down here. No, just.
No, hold on. Robert, you have to think for a second.
No.
Okay.
I'm not going anywhere.
Reorganization of the board. We would like to recognize, the board service of Robert Google as well as Matt Martin. Matt is not here tonight, but we'll hit him later. Mr. Beals, if you'll come up. That was.
You know, I'm a guest, not a board member. See?
This is our appreciation of your time and dedication to the board. You are a fantastic member. You're going to be very missed. And enjoy your Tuesday nights.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much.
Oh.
Sure. That's smarter than what?
John.
All right, next we've got the seating of the elected trustees, Leanna Easty and Bert Pestle for a 3-year term with Gallatin County Superintendent of Schools, John Nelson. So Bert and Leanna, if you want to come on up.
Congratulations.
What do you want for the camera?
It's an owl, so it rotates. So if you want to come up here, they'll probably get you a little bit better.
Oh, no. No, actually, I'll move back here while you're here for that.
You'll just repeat after. Well, first of all, I'd say thank you very much to anyone who's willing to be a board member. As I usually say, schools are a very symbiotic relationship, but if you don't have school board members, you don't have school. Kids, you don't have school. Teachers, you don't have school. Thank you both for stepping up. Okay, so if you would repeat after me, please. I do solemnly affirm.
I do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend the United States and Montana Constitution.
the United States and Montana Constitution.
I will faithfully execute with fidelity
I will faithfully execute with fidelity
the duties of office
the duties of office
and regard the best interests of students
and regard the best interests of students
and their education
and their education in all decisions.
Now you get to sign and turn that in. So then start signing your right. Piece. Same place and then the other hand now.
Thank you.
I do like the whole thing.
Now you.
No.
It's a boy.
Oh, thank you.
That space. That's saying it. So you get comes to file. For you, when you get there. There's your official.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joanne.
Oh. You want to move that down a little bit? I'll be trying to talk louder, but, all right, so next we've got nominations. We will look for a nomination for the board chair, the vice chair, and then we'll do a committee assignment and as well as appoint the clerk. So we'll start out with the nomination for the board chair.
I'd like to nominate myself for the board chair position. If the board would like to support it.
Any more nominations or anybody else? I'm always happy to do it. Been doing it a while as well. I'll throw my name in the hat. So with two, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of Emily Kennedy, raise your hand. Okay. Emily Kennedy will be our new board chair. Next, we have nominate, oh wait. You're officially board chair.
Joe, you can continue.
I was like, wait a minute. Technically. Oh, okay. Nominations for the vice chair, please.
I'll nominate Christian.
I'll second it.
All right. Kristen Potts is vice chair. Next, we will have the committee assignments and we've got, well, we initially just had 4 committees, but we kind of decided last minute maybe it would be a bad idea to have a transportation just because we have had conversations about buses. It'll be easier to have a committee to talk about that prior to a board meeting. And then it maybe won't drag on so long during the board meetings. We can kind of touch base on. So the committees that we have to choose from are finance, interviews, policy, negotiations, and transportation. And so Brooke is, or Emily is board chair, you get to choose first.
Sure, I'd love to do negotiations.
Okay. Kristen?
Interviews.
I will also do negotiations. You know what we're going to, finance.
I would like to do finance also.
Okay,
Lori, do we have, do we have facilities on there?
we don't, we used to have facilities, but we really didn't do anything with it.
Right, Matt and I were on it last time and
Yeah,
we did not,
right,
so,
that's why we kind of did away with the,
okay,
that one.
is that cool with everybody else? Facilities, I don't think we, it seemed like we had more of a need for it when we had the bond, is that
Right.
accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay, yeah, I don't, like I said, I did a zero amount as a facility, so
Exactly.
yeah, that's fine, okay.
Okay.
So there's, all right.
So you're next.
Oh, I love doing interviews. I really enjoyed that.
Kristen?
Well, I keep,
Policy. Thank you. You're so good at it. Okay, I'll do transportation. Policy. Good for you. And Brooke, I'll be transporting now. Yes, yeah, we'll talk about buses. Okay. Perfect. And next we've got the appointment of the clerk. Will you please be our clerk?
I'll second that.
Yes. Well, I can make a motion now. I make a motion that, Elisa continues to be our clerk. And Emily's. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, who seconded?
I did.
Thank you. Accept.
Thank you. Great. Next, Emily will take over the board meeting.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lori. Visitors and patrons.
I don't know if I thought to do that, but I have a report on, do you want me to do it now?
That'd be great.
Okay. So many of you know that there were 5 courtyards created when the building's construction happened. And a committee of us got together and came up with a plan on making those courtyards usable space for the school. And we have used grant funding so far. We're almost done with courtyard number 1, 75 to 80%. Courtyard number 2 is slated to begin. Well, actually, we did all today. So, so the patio courtyard is the courtyard between the middle school and the high school, and is the focus of our first project, and is making steady progress. Through a rural reserve grant, we have purchased cooking equipment, including a Blackstone grill, small smoker, and pizza oven, and using part of our Carl Perkins grant, we purchased a larger Traeger for an outdoor kitchen. On Monday, the kids poured cement for the pad for the little building that we're going to house this equipment in to keep it safe and out of like friend fingers. Chris Lee from Three Forks Ready Mix donated the gravel and concrete for the pad for our outdoor cooking area. So we wish to thank him. And if you see him, please tell him thank you. The students in Mr. Noise's ag classes set up the frames and poured the concrete. John McDonald from Circle SC is also going to donate to the project as we construct the building. We currently have grant applications submitted to the Montana Contractors Association Construction Trade Awareness Grant, Montana Farm Bureau Foundation, and the Rachel Ray Foundation to complete the kitchen area and install small raised garden beds and picnic tables on the patio. The area will be available for students to use as a classroom area, a learning space for events and activities. We have begun preliminary work on the second courtyard, the den. That courtyard is located between the elementary school and the gym. Jessica is working on the application from the Fruit Tree Planting Foundation Fruit Tree Orchard Grant. If we are successful with this application, the Fruit Tree Foundation will come out and help us plant 9 fruit trees in this courtyard area. In addition, other grants have been submitted and will continue to submit and to build the raised garden beds under the classroom windows in that area. Classrooms could then adopt a garden space to plant and learn about gardening and plants through the science program or with our CTE students as a guide. Through the Bonnie Cabbage program, CTE will work with 3rd grade teachers and students to plant cabbage as part of their science class where they could win scholarship. The 3rd graders. So can you imagine winning a scholarship as a 3rd grader? I think it's pretty amazing. Our plan also includes working with students students in the summer program. Girl Scouts have contacted us to work with us and interested classroom teachers to make this project school-wide. There are many opportunities for working with elementary students to provide career and technical education programs, hands-on learning, work experience, and contribute to our food system here at the school and our local food bank. So vegetables we grow would either be used in the culinary classroom, in our school lunch program, and any leftovers we have that kids didn't want to take home, we'd also donate those to the food bank. And just as a side note, Katie and I, when we did FCCLA, we noticed the tulips out in the parking lot. We grew 140 pounds of squash one summer for the food bank in that little back area. So you can grow lots of stuff in small spaces. But in the courtyard areas, we don't have to compete with deer, rabbits, teenagers, and vandals. Okay, we are also examining our eligibility for Tony the Tiger Kellogg's Frosted Flakes with donors choose. The NFL plays 60, and that would tie in our pre-K with a playground area, and so they could have 60 minutes of play a day. Scott's Miracle Grow, the Grow More Good Grant, and Walmart Spark Good Grant. The CTE department is working on our Carl Perkins proposal. We spent all of Friday last week. It's pretty extensive. So, and also the Rural Reserve grants for next year. We have also developed a calendar to collect possible grant opportunities for other funding sources. So, anybody likes to write, computer stuff, edit, come see us. That's where we are with the courtyards. There are 5 of them. We're on number 2. So.
Well, thank you guys so much. Anybody else?
I just wanted to, there's paraprofessionals that were cut in elementary, there was 2.5. And I wanted to acknowledge the half person. Marilyn Randolph has been in our district for 20 years. And she's the half because she comes to my classroom and she volunteers all morning. And then the afternoon she gets paid. So she's been with our district for 20 years and I just wanted to give her some acknowledgement. Yes.
All right, moving on to communications and petitions. Anything along those lines? Okay, public comment period for non-agenda items and non-personnel related items. Moving on to program reports, we have early learning to YK.
You guys can, wherever you're comfortable. Where should you want?
That's a good note for people online.
Okay,
So if you guys, they would be fine, or if you come up here, this is a mic also, so either one works. If you want to use the table, you can too.
To be heard, what do they need to stand about it?
Oh, we got the mic there.
Oh,
and we got
right
the
here.
mic up.
okay. Okay, so we have a new program at the school and it's our 2YK program, 2-year kindergarten. So we just wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about what we've done and how the program has been developed and grown even over the year. So that's why we're here tonight. We have served 31 kids this year in our program. I'm Katie Warner and this is Samantha Dozell. And we walked in August to a very empty room. Yes. And with this amazing staff here, it has become a room that's functional. We have bathrooms, we have plumbing, we have sinks that are preschool height. Both portables have had this done, but it's come such a long way and we have a very busy, vibrant room in both of those rooms. So we've come a long way and this is our class of 2037 that is right in there. So, yes, go ahead. So what are we teaching? We have adopted a creative curriculum. That's our program that we're using to kind of direct what we teach and how we do it. And it is a play-based curriculum that is, yes. And it's covered, there's tons of things available. If you go to, I think the next slide. I have an article about play-based learning if anybody is interested. It's really guided play. So what we do is we provide materials, we provide the environment, we provide instruction, we're teaching about concepts, we're teaching about real life things that they're seeing. And we're engaging them in language and we're engaging them in academic like skills of curiosity and persisting on a task and problem solving together. And then we are also like getting them ready for school, for real school. But play-based learning is really effective because we are kind of starting the play and then they have a lot of autonomy within the play. So these are the studies that we've done this year. We started out with the just beginning of the year study, like how do we behave in school as all teachers do?
Social and emotional, really focused on that, expectations for them.
And then each study, the structure is like an exploration, kind of like just digging and finding out what they know about the ideas, like, and then about 4 to 5 weeks long is usually each of the studies. And we've had some really fun celebrations. This year we had a light party at the end of our light study in the gym. It's great. We've done some really cool stuff. We've had a lot of donations by family members, parents, community donations. We've done several donors choose projects. So a lot of our materials have been grant and donation based. It's a lot of stuff to do a hands-on learning program. And so our room has a lot of things. We also have a shed that was a grant from Zagros. So we are so grateful for that because our room just really didn't even hold all the things that we need. So we've done clothing, light, buildings, water, and gardening. And then the next couple pictures, you'll kind of see some of those things. The other thing we're teaching is Haggerty. So we're doing a pre-K book of Haggerty, which is all foundational phonemic awareness and print awareness. And it's been awesome. We have just seen the kids grow. They're blending, they're isolating, they're changing sounds in words. They are just, they're really with it now at the end of the year. It's like, it's been such a cool program. And I do know that they will be able to continue using Haggerty. So that will be a really good transition for them next year. And this is kind of what our day looks like, just between the two of us. And I will provide the slideshow for anybody that wants to go back in and look at pictures or anything or schedules. But this is kind of how our day is structured. We have several circle times that are like instructional times, group times. We have music and movement. It's all tied together. Yeah, and these are just some of our measurements that we're using for like knowing what we're doing. It doesn't fit into like a regular report card kind of structure. It's not necessarily, it is based on Montana Early Learning Standards. So creative curriculum is aligned with health. So that is kind of already done for us. We are a Head Start partnership and we have had Head Start staff come out and do class observations with us, and which is a formal protocol, and global observations. So those have been done, and they're great feedback from them, and also just like they're very excited about what we're doing here. They're really excited about our partnership. It's very positive. And one piece of that, we're doing the EDECA, which is like a social emotional kind of initiative and resiliency, where we see kids. For that, we have some student portfolios. I'll show you. There's a couple of pictures in here later. We also have really awesome parent feedback. This year has been so good. Our parents love the program. I think it shows in the fact that we had 36 kids show up for our screening. So not only is it like well respected, but we will turn away kids next year. So that is a really good sign for us, I think. This is how we assess kids on each objective in for creative curriculum or teaching strategies. Sure.
There's 36 objectives and dimensions that we work on with our students that ranges from social, emotional, cognitive, language, mathematics, science, technology, all of it. For each of the 36 objectives and their individual dimensions, there's a continuum like this. And so we have an online program through Teaching Strategies School where we're inputting ongoing assessment daily on our students as we're observing them, we're taking notes, and we're inputting that into this. And then we're leveling them with each observation that we have as to where they are. And then at the end, we do a checkpoint. So 3 times a year, we do a checkpoint for all of those areas so that we can see where they are and we can use that assessment to basically plan for our instruction and how we can scaffold for them going forward.
So these are just the objectives, like the 36 objectives, and we're not going to read through each of them, but the pictures that we included are like our data. That is what we are collecting. We are seeing the kids working on these things. They're making connections. We've had PE every day working on gross motor, you know, how we move through space, working on fine motor, and keep going. So each of these pictures is like how we're seeing that and what we're identifying. We're talking with them, we're building their language, asking lots of WH questions as we're communicating with them. Cognitive, how they're showing their learning, showing their curiosity, trying to do new things. Literacy, there's not a thing you can't work on with letters. Like everything is letters. So we're doing tons of that during the day. Math, we're always doing lots of patterning, lots of building, shape identification, lots and lots of math in the class for sure. Measuring. We have that hydroponic tower we got at the end of the year. I actually wasn't sure if it was going to get funded, but it was a Donors Choose grant. So we're like watching lettuce grow right in our classroom. That has been really fun. We have caterpillars that are currently in their chrysalids. Social studies, just kind of how other people live. We studied a lot of houses, different kinds of houses. Art, we participated in the spring concert, which was awesome. So these are just some like really quick examples. Prompts at the beginning of the year for journal, not on prompts. We can dictate, they dictate to us and we'll write down what they say. And then end of the year, we see we are asking a question, they're able to respond, write something, draw something to represent it, and then give us some good ideas. Here's some examples of how we're coming in, many of them not writing a name at all. And then, and again, I'll share this with you, but excellent parent responses. You can go to the next one. This was how pleased are you with our program? And we had, I think, another response come in that was a 5. So we have overwhelmingly very positive response. And this was just to show kind of the demographics. We have mostly working parents. These are working parents, full-time, some part-time, some at home. But that is who we are able to really help with. I view that as a help to our whole community, that parents can have their child at our school a year earlier and they're able to work. This is our Oxford language screener. I do have an article also about language and literacy, and we feel like we're really on the right path for building that for kids.
So this is what we were talking about earlier with the checkpoint data. So this was for fall 23-24. So we'll also have spring and, or we'll have winter and spring. But this is just kind of an example of what that looks like and what our kids came into the program knowing what they're gonna have that first part of the school year.
So like I said, we screened 36 students last week. We will have 30 students accepted into the program based on literacy need as the state has mandated. And determined through those two screeners. We have 2 students that are young and so they are repeating the program for their best interests so that they are ready to start kindergarten a little bit older. Head Start has helped to identify 7 students during screening that will benefit from their interventions, and also we financially get we get money from them for having Head Start students as well. And if you're looking at some different professional development opportunities through Head Start, we can take part in those. And then some books, some SOAR resources that we're looking into, science of reading, and we're also looking at possibly adding like a math program to kind of bulk up what we're doing, just to have something that's built on itself for next year. So are there any questions?
I just have a big thank you. I have a 2IKer and she has benefited tremendously. And she loves going to school with Miss Katie.
You got these for you guys to look at too. These are portfolios. Okay, some of our students. I'm just
You guys put a lot of work into that. Just for the audience and people that are watching, we have just now linked that presentation with your permission.
Yep.
It's on the board agenda, so if you want to take a look at any of that information later, just click on that
And
link.
these articles are linked in there as well.
Yeah, and yeah, okay, thank you guys.
Thank
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
To build a brand new program from the ground up is a big activity. Thank you. FFA.
Illinois Middle School and High School agricultural teacher and the FFA advisor. Normally there will be a kid here, it just didn't work for tonight, so hopefully this is the last time you'll hear from me. You'll actually be hearing our big thing now. We had officer elections. 2 officers were instated at our banquet, which was very big success in my mind. We had a good turnout. We had awarded awards to several deserving members, a lot of which have not been in the program before, and I see the program going places here in the coming years. I'd like to say we're slowing down, but we're really not. We have our ag days this Thursday that we will do with the K through 5. The week after that, we get the Townsend to help with their ag days and work with those kids. Over the summer, it's fair. There's officer retreat for the new officers to plan out the new year, so we can come back and tell you more of what we're doing. And then following that, we'll be at the board meeting again to ask for permission. Our big thing now is I've got a crew of kids that wants to go to National FFA Convention that is held in Indianapolis, Indiana. There are about 10 students who are wanting to go. It is a pricey trip, but if there's one thing that's happened in our last few meetings, we have plans. We have plans to get there. We have plans to fundraise, but that being said, if you know of any way for us to raise money, we will not turn you away. So email me. It's a lot, but I think that shows a lot of dedication from our students wanting to expand their horizons. They want to get out of Montana. They want to see whether this organization can take them on a national level. So we'll be back hopefully with the officers to ask for permission. This isn't for this tonight, but that's kind of our big goal for the coming future. Other than that, it's summer practices. The kids have decided we got a little taste of victory at our state convention with the forestry team. And the kids want that. We are planning to have livestock, forestry, and range science practices over the summer with the hopes of qualifying those teams for state early and hopefully getting some more state winning teams. So it's going to be a busy summer, but excited for this next group of officers, some new members joining us. I think we're headed for another great year. So thank you.
Summer program.
Well, I don't have a fancy slideshow, but I do have a handout. So our summer program, we're gonna run for 6 weeks this summer. We have a few weeks off just to keep the staff fresh.
We're gonna run Monday through Thursday from 8:30 to 2:30, just like we did last year. Right now, my goal was 130 kids signed up, and we have 130 right now, so I'm like, ooh. Anyway, it's gonna be great. Staffing, it's completely staffed. We have, a great group of staff members. We have 15 adult staff members, and we have 3 high school students, and those 3 high school students are doing all of the science. So they're gonna do a chemistry, an astronomy, a physics. So they had lesson plans to me probably a month ago for those. So I'm really excited to see what they bring to the program. As far as funding the program, it is funded through grants, donations, begging, pleading, community donations. So the ESSER Extended Learning Grant, we did get that. 21st Century Grant pitches in on that. And we're on the 5th year of that grant cycle. We are part of a consortium with that grant. So I will know at the end of June whether we get another 5-year grant cycle. Oh man, I'm praying we do, because it completely funds our after-school program. And then I also received a Town Pump charitable grant from donations from local businesses. Right now, I have about $15,000 from that. And then community donations, I've received some of those. But to run our 6-week summer program, it's about $75,000 to run it. But all of that is grant writing and getting donations. So we're just about there. I have a few more calls to make. As far as our programming for this, so with the 21st Century money, it's always enrichment based. And so we did purely enrichment. And I know some teachers were frustrated like that. We need to have that academic portion with that too. So this year I talked with Sydney Huska, and she's gonna run reading and math sessions in the morning. And we're gonna have just certified teachers running that. And they're gonna work with small groups and individual academic needs. But what we're gonna do is and we'll see how it works, but we're gonna screen every student in our program that first week. And then from there, we'll know the needs going forward. We also have all the school data too. So we're gonna look at all of that to see exactly what those needs are. Some kids won't ever be pulled for those small groups. Other kids might be pulled for math and reading. Some might just be pulled for reading. So it depends on where that need is. So we're very fortunate to have Sydney and her crew working. And then we're also having morning rotations. It's gonna be designed a lot like last year and the year before. So we're gonna look at movement, dance and theater, science, art, STEM with some building challenges, cooking labs, young authors, book club, and robotics. In the afternoons, we look at, we're working with the public library. Each grade level will get to go to the public library, check out books, and they keep those books at school. We're gonna explore our parks like we did last year, scavenger hunts, geocaching, community safety. I think that's a really important thing in this day and age. And then visiting our community businesses, virtual escape rooms when it's really hot outside, and then games, whether they're in the school building or they're in our parks. On Thursdays, we're still doing field trips every Thursday. We're gonna do the splash park in Belgrade. That's always a hit. We're gonna hike the M and do the Bozeman parks. So whenever we go, we take 2 buses. So our littles, I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, they're hiking the M. They're not. The littles will go to like one of the parks in Bozeman while the bigs go and hike the M. We'll meet up. We'll have kind of then we'll have an activity together in the afternoon. We're still kind of in those planning processes. We're gonna do the Butte Water Park. That is gonna be our only extended day. Last year, we had some extended days. This one will be one just because the park hours are kind of funny with when they're open. We're gonna do the Headwaters State Park, and we're gonna do a barbecue that day. So any parent volunteers, I would love. There's just right outside of Four Corners, there's a place that they rescue horses. And so we're gonna go and hear all about that. And then we're gonna do the Pete's Hill hike, which all of our kiddos can do. So again, we're excited about the summer, great crew of people, free of charge for all families. We accept in-district and out-of-district kids for that. We might even have a grandparent that has a child coming for the summer. We accept all. And we're very fortunate right now with all of the grants and everything to be able to fund the program. Any questions?
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Work on that.
Love that summer program. I love it every year. Thank you. Okay, next we have our financial report. Okay. Oh, thanks.
So this is an updated list of our adopted budgets for our budgeted funds, along with the expenditures to date and the remaining budget amounts. And you can see the percent of the budget that has been expended. Our elementary general fund, Fund 101, is the one we're most focusing on right now. You can see there's $531,000 left in it, but I still need to do the summer pay for certified staff, our June pay for all of our full-time staff and our classified staff. And there's just a lot of variables still that I'm going over with the whole budget. We have grants that a lot of salaries are coming from, like IDEA and title. And it looks like we will have some extra money in our IDEA grant that I can recode salaries to. That will help us out. But on the other hand, we are running out of our Title I and Title II money. So then I have to turn and use general fund money to compensate for us running out of that. And then we have things like, we're still waiting on our insurance payment from MSGIA for the flooding that happened over Christmas break. And there is a couple more months left of our utility and data payments. Sometimes those come in a little in arrears. So we're wrapping up end of year for that and our cleaning services. And we'll have sick and vacation leave payouts. And so it's just a bit of a balancing act to finish out the end of the year, get all the funding right. We do know that we are going to be short in that fund, and it's right around the $200,000 mark. Again, it's highly variable, so we'll just try and nail that down as we get bills coming in and money going out. Our transportation fund, both in elementary and high school, they're looking pretty good. We have not spent anything out of our bus depreciation funds, and those funds can only be used to purchase buses, to purchase a bus outright or to replace a bus. You can use those funds to replace an activity bus. And so those funds are sitting there, that money is dedicated to that. Our tuition funds and our building reserve funds, we still have some salaries coming out of those for certain staff. Our retirement funds are looking pretty healthy. Adult ed, and then with the high school general fund, we're also sitting about $536,000 left in that one. But again, we've got end of year salaries to take into account. We've got the end of the year bills and the last few stipends that need to be paid for the year. We'll still have sports teams competing, going to state competitions and such like that. So we're balancing the last of those expenditures.
Elisa, can I ask you a question on that before you switch?
Yeah.
So can you back up to what ended up being $200,000 short?
So that is in our elementary general fund.
Okay.
That's where I'm looking at. We don't have, between our expenditures and what we have to pay out for salaries, our budget is not covered.
Okay. So the shortage we're anticipating does not include that 200,000. Right, like the future budget we're looking at that was short that we needed to adjust for, does that take this into account?
Well, yes, because the expenditures we have this year, we're likely to have next year.
Correct.
Increased, right? Yeah, and increased with inflation and such. So yeah, it's impacting, we're taking it into account for next year, trying to plan ahead and say, okay, we're spending this much on utilities this year. We're probably gonna spend that much plus this much more next year.
But does that mean we start out with a negative $200,000 balance in an account?
No,
Okay, can you help me understand that, so we're not starting out in the
yeah,
red.
because we
That's my
can't end with negative balances. I mean, that is not okay with school funding. And that's where our multi-district fund that we have comes into play.
Okay,
And that helps us cover these shortfalls.
do we have enough in our multi-district to cover that?
We do.
Okay, okay.
And so Emily, also, when we had a lot of our, even at the forum meeting, we presented a slide on this is where we are this year. And you use a lot of that information, like you roll over, well, we spent this much on paper this year, we spent this much on maintenance supplies. But then there were things that were, we already know, we've already gotten the quotes back from our liability insurance. That took a huge jump. So this was, we reported on, we anticipated that the 200,000 out of elementary being a shortfall and being at 318,000 for the next year. And that was how we figured what we were going to, what was in the levy, which obviously didn't pass. So in my report, I'm going to talk about moving forward, what we're going to do to cover or to reduce that 318,000 deficit, because we can't keep having a deficit. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that was just, I just want to make sure we weren't also an extra 200,000.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we are, but
We
we
are.
have a way to cover it. We're not just starting out with a negative bank account of 200,000
We're not-
and we have to cover 3.
and they're not closing the doors and we're
Right.
not going to make.
Yeah,
payments,
that's
right?
in your plan.
Yeah.
No,
That is helpful. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
sure.
Yeah.
So I've updated where we're at with spending on our school bond that was used to expand our building. And this summary, I don't know if you guys can read the numbers, but in the orange squares, it lists what our bond revenue was to start with. We had a 9.1 million bond in the elementary, a 15 million bond in the high school. And then we also had proceeds that were added to that, and we had an intercap loan in the elementary. Add on to that, we had a few other sources of revenue, such as some energy rebates from Northwestern Energy, and that's everything in the blue section. We also are earning interest on the bond money, and that's summarized in the green section. And then scroll down. If you add all that up, the total revenue on the elementary side is 11.1 million, and on the high school side, 17.6 million. And then I've added up where we're at with our expenditures through April and subtracted that. We are left with 1.2 million for the extra projects that Andy Becker has been talking to us about. Things like replacing the carpet in the middle school and redoing the high school parking lot and the sidewalks around the middle school. Some of these big projects that we just waited till the end to make sure we had enough money to cover it, see how far we go. But I just wanted to give an update on where the school's sitting with that money.
Yeah, if I can
Yeah.
add again on that. I was just thinking about another district in Gallatin Valley that had a bond and was not able to use it appropriately and had to go back to their community for more money to try to finish things up. And in the meantime, we have a bond that we did really well with. I just wanted to say, like, this has been a very well managed bond where we have money left over. We stayed on budget, and that's a testament to a lot of different people, but that's a big deal. Not every community manages to do their bond correctly. You could not look very far to see where others haven't. It's a big deal.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate everybody who's come together to work and make that happen so that hopefully it's all done, wrapped up at the end of this year, actually.
Is there a time frame, like when it has to be used by, or like expires or anything like that?
I don't know that there's an actual deadline in working with our owner's rep, Andy Becker. He's suggesting that it needs to be done this year. And we've got, just so that you know, we are meeting with, still working with Langless. We just had a meeting last week. We all came together again, and it'll be in my report too, when this is all going to start. We're gonna be closing down part of a street. We're gonna be tearing out the archway at the middle school. And it looks like we're gonna have enough left over to actually, besides the carpet, actually do a little bit of a facelift with some new shelving in the elementary library. We've had these priorities, and we're just wanting to make sure we got to pay these bills, what's left, and the goal is to have it expended this year. And again, staying within that bond language. And we've been taking suggestions and needs from all of our principals, what else is left. And, because it's going to be, it may be a long time before we can go in and replace carpet. So we're still looking at, as the bills are paid, there are a few rooms in the elementary that may need some new carpet. So we've got a plan, and it's prioritized, and we're just going to make sure we don't get in a situation where we've tried to do more than we can afford. We're going to balance it out. We'll spend the last dollar. Okay. I mean, because if we don't, I guess I need to quantify that. That's not, that money can only be used for that, and we wouldn't want that just to be lost.
Thanks.
The 24-25 teacher contracts are done. I'm sorry I didn't get those passed out to all teachers today. That is my goal, to get right on that tomorrow. Everything took a lot longer today with the internet. Yeah, I'm just trying to get so much ready for this meeting. Our grants, we are working on those always. Our REAP grant application for 24-25 has been submitted, and we're working on the final cash requests for our Carl Perkins regular grant, the Carl Perkins Rural Reserve Grant, Title I, Title II, IDEA-B, and ESSER. And the ESSER 3 final spending deadline is September 30th, so that's going to take a bit of work to get that all wrapped up. We need to do an amendment still on the grant for items that just some items that need to be added to that budget. Things like some interactive boards. And then we have to do some end of year data collection in Infinite Campus. That is going to be due 1 week earlier this year than usual. So June 21st is the deadline.
I see you correct.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It is a fair amount of work from the principals and Rhonda and myself. I get to do the terms of employment part with all the staff data. And then, nothing ever stays the same. There's always something new going on, a new training to go through. Our banking for our payroll is done through First Interstate Bank, everything we do with the county treasurer. And they went to a new online platform. It's actually pretty easy to use, but it involved another training, more installations on the computer. And then I was in the middle of running payroll and suddenly went, oh, I'm doing this first time. It went fine, thank goodness. But the Voya 403B payments might have been delayed somewhat because they also switched to a new platform and they only accept wire payments. And then I had to coordinate the new banking system, set them up with a wire payment, and get all the 100-digit account numbers filled in and everything like that. That's all been done. Open enrollment for health insurance has started through Pacific Source and MetLife. Most of our employees, I think, have been able to do the online enrollment. If anybody is struggling with that, please let me know. We do need to have all the certified staff get that done as soon as possible because with their summer pay, the new elections take effect on those, and that impacts what I need to do in the office. And just need to get that information in as quickly as possible. For processing end of year paychecks, I really need staff to keep up on the TC approvals and all managers to be working on that. We just need to keep up with it weekly. Having internet out is not helping. It's just the nature of the beast, but everybody's patience and continued follow-up with that is really appreciated. And then classified staff, I will need to be in touch with them for all of them to get their requests in for vacation payouts, because we do that at the end of the year as well. And then there is the MASBO Summer Conference for school business officials, which is my go-to for this job. This is my intensive week of training and how I figure out what still needs to be done, how things need to go. This year it's going to be held in Billings, and I'm looking forward to it, but it's right after school. That's actually on paydays, so I have to have payroll ready to go and then jet out and go right to the training. Any other questions?
All right, thank you, Elisa.
Thank you.
Next we have administrator report, Superintendent Rhonda.
Okay, okay, so my first topic I'm going to talk about is Student Center. Just a reminder, I have folders on my desk, the new law that went into effect for out of district enrollment. We have very strict guidelines with that. Up through May 15th was the deadline for priority for anyone who is currently enrolled in our district as an out of district student. So we have those time stamped and those have a priority. Then this window is still open for additional out-of-district students to the families to apply for enrollment. That window will close on June 1st. Again, each one is time stamped. We will also, for any new enrollees, we will be looking at their grade and their attendance and their reports from the school they're currently in. We do have in our board policy a list of the priority ratings for which students can enroll. Again, as I said, this is a new law and all districts are required to have an open enrollment. And ours will close June 1st. And we do have as a district language in our policy that will limit any kind of an enrollment that would put us over, put us over any kind of a standard accreditation standard, that we would not be forced to hire another teacher, that we could maintain some spots within our grade levels so that our own students, if they have additional students move in during the year, we have some openings for them. So it really does protect the district so that we don't have to overload our classrooms or have to take on more costs by hiring more. And of course, you know, we have some great out of district people that come in and we're happy to have them, but it just gives the district that got the guidelines and the parameters to make those decisions. And so there are, again, very strict steps in our policy. So board approvals and or denials will be considered during our upcoming June board meeting. And that I will then also be sending out notice letters to each of the families to let them know that they're being considered at the June board meeting. So that's coming up. Community engagement and relations. Just wanted to there has been conversations. Even during our strategic planning, talking about how can we increase and enhance a better communication with our community. So when we have back to school registrations, we will again want to state it very clearly. Yes, every year it will be an annual online registration. It's a painless process. You go in and it makes sure we have updated contact information. So every year there's that online registration. It also allows us to monitor. I mean, it allows us to monitor, are you a resident of our district or are you out of district? So we have the also the address verification. But this year, we're also going to plan some, orientation times with parents to talk about, this is where you find, download this app for district information. And I know I've spoken on it before. Bobby's helped lead the charge on finding, it's called Rooms. It's a new part, it is part of our website and technology, and so that it will protect and help, it'll help parents, but it's also going to protect the district because it then gives one avenue for conversations between our coaches, our teachers, and the parents. There aren't all of these texts and Facebooks and misinterpretations going out there. It's a platform where parents can respond to their child's teacher, and they can also use the rooms to find all of their child's teachers, all of their child's coaches in one place, one platform. So we're excited about that. We'll have more information on that when we get closer into August. As far as community and engagement and relationships, we're excited to be later on the board agenda. We have a group interested in starting an athletic booster club, and we also have a group that have they're bringing back. Haven't quite, I don't believe they've decided the title, whether it's going to be a PAC or a PTA. PTA suggests the national affiliation, so I know they're meeting later this month, and so we're excited. They're trying to proactively find ways to help support staff and programming with some fundraising, and they'll take on a lot of the fundraising. So I know that's going to be a big focus for the Athletic Booster Club, and I'll let them speak about that in a bit. My biggest report tonight is operations and building capacity. And before we click on that, that's a link. It's been tough conversations, and we have a lot of what Bobby calls big emotions, because we knew going into this when the levy didn't pass, and we're looking at a $318,000 shortfall just in elementary. You know, that's hard, and it's hard to have those conversations. And so, you know, we're working on conflict resolution and just having a healthy climate about how do we have those tough conversations. So Bobby, can you click on that blue link, and I'll just kind of go through. I'll give you an overview of what's been our guidelines on that. Maybe I should have done here. Oh, gosh, I was afraid of that. Let's see, hold on just a minute. One second, sorry about that. I felt like doing the link would work, but it didn't. What's it called? Copy of. What is it? Copy of. Budgets. It's not it. And then share. Oops, share. Please don't hit it. Come on. All right. Done. Is it working now? Okay, so when we start talking about how do we trim and what are we going to cut and how are we going to make our decisions, there's been really and we've met a lot, the admin team. I'll just tell you, Elisa spent the entire weekend. We've been spending a lot of extra hours just digging in to all of the amounts that are in the budget, and the budget is huge. There's pages and pages of it. So there have been three guiding factors. One is, what is the financial impact to the district budget? So when we talk about, we gathered a lot of information on a spreadsheet from staff. What are your ideas? We would look those ideas up. What would be the financial impact? That's the leading question. The second one is accreditation standards. Does this potential cut affect accreditation? Obviously, you can't. I'll just give you a real good example. We have accreditation standards on how many children can be in a class. So if you cut a classroom teacher, you may go over accreditation standards. If you fall out of accreditation, it can eventually impact you financially. So it's a domino effect. So the first one is, what's the financial effect? The next one is, what's the accreditation standard? Are we required to have this program? Are we required to have this class? And then the third thing, which I wish was the most important first one, is what's the impact on students? So we measure that together. We look at those three things and we start having tough conversations. So the business office process, we updated the current expenditures. So every day, there's more invoices, more bills come in. You start finding out, oh, this person resigned or we were replaced with this teacher. So it's an ongoing updating process of how we can predict where we're going to be at with the new budget. Elisa spent a lot of time, since our talk during the levies. She's now gone in and she's updated, okay, these teachers have left, we've rehired these, what's the cost savings, or how has it hit us the other way? So that's happened. We've had conversations, we've compared what's the cost between elementary, middle school, high school. We've looked at the classroom budgets. How are they comparable? We've looked at the principal's budgets. Are they comparable? We've taken all of that into consideration. We've also asked for, I mean, a lot of this has been background work. Principals, let me know. I want to know how much plan time your teachers have. What are their duties? Where are areas that maybe there's a little bit of cushion that we can make those switches? So we asked those questions. We asked for staff input. They had a lot of input on the spreadsheets. We've gone through those, and I will list some of those out in a minute. And then we looked at our current budget status. It's not final. I feel very confident where we're at. Elisa she is the most detailed person I have ever seen. But when you're looking at end of the year expenses, there may be some people who are leaving that are going to want to buy out of their sick leave, or, hey, I didn't take my vacation days for 2 years. You can only carry over so far. That can impact. All of those things will impact. And when we hit June 30th, we'll have solid numbers, but we have very good ones at this point. So finalized budgets after June 30th. Basic information, rationale. This is probably one of the hardest things to understand. And it was hard for the staff because we start talking about, why don't we cut this? Why don't we cut this? Elementary budget is elementary expenses. So yes, we want to be fiscally responsible. We're going to look at things that are happening at the high school. What can we cut there? But say athletics, it really doesn't have a big impact on the elementary budget. So when we look at the elementary budget, we look at what can we change in the elementary, because we have to balance that budget. That's our job. That's what we're working on, to balance that budget. So when we look at cuts at the high school, that affects the high school budget. And so we all understand pre-K through 8th grade is considered elementary budget. High school is considered 9 through 12. Okay. So looking at this, the elementary, and I don't know, you guys probably can't even see this, can you? The elementary shortfall predicted right now is 318,234. That's what we predicted. The secondary, since a lot of different amounts have come in and adjustments, is actually balanced at 8,800. I know 8,000 is nothing when you're talking about millions of dollars, but at least it's black, it's not red, right? So cuts made in the high school budget will not balance the elementary budget. My next part on that is, so we take that 318,234 projected shortfall, and then the good news is we get to take off $25,500 that we thought was going to be, that was part of that, but we didn't have a health insurance increase. We changed health insurance carriers, so we saved 25,000. So that brought that deficit down in elementary to $292,734. So I hope you're following my rationale. So we're finding out, how do we bring that down to a balanced budget? And this is where it gets hard. This is where it gets tough. Elementary cuts, cost savings, and these were all shared out as possible cuts when we had the levy talks. We're cutting the Friday programming, and that position did Fridays half a day. That position also taught a couple of PE classes in the elementary that we're not having to continue because we're cutting a 5th grade position, fewer kids in PE, and that position also was a structured recess. And so that position is one, it was just added last year. We looked at the most recent ads and what can we absorb? So that saved $43,000. We eliminated we're eliminating a 5th grade section. And that is because we're able to do it because those numbers are lower. those classes will still be very manageable. They'll still be under 20, but we'll go to 2 sections. Now, coming up next year, we'll look every year at what the enrollments are. So the goal here is then to use attrition. We've got some movement going on. So the 5th grade, we know we're doing away with the 5th grade section. That's a savings of approximately $50,000. Where is that person going? That person is going, we have a 6th grade unfilled position right now. That 5th grade teacher is going to slide into that, so we don't have to hire that. So even though we're still paying that 5th grade teacher, she's assumed that. So there's a $50,000 savings there. Are you following me on that?
Isn't, if they're going to middle school, isn't that within the elementary budget?
It's still, right, but we were gonna have to hire that. We have a vacant 6th grade.
That we were budgeting for.
Yes, we were already budgeting for, and Carrie Moore, that position last year was a very late August resignation. We had absolutely nobody fill it. Carrie Moore had to be pulled from library to teach part of it. And so then we had some science, and so we had to pay teachers to teach during their plan period. So we're able now, the ideal situation when you go into middle school is often to find someone who's K-8 certified, because this 6th grade position, they'll teach ELA for a couple, ELA reading language arts for 2 hours. They'll take on 2 science courses, and they'll take on 2 PE classes. So they're versatile. Sometimes in middle school, we get applicants that are only endorsed in one area, and then they can't teach anything else. So I'm kind of trying to explain the situation. So the 5th grade position went away. We didn't have to fire or rip that person. They were able to take an open position. We're having, the next one is elimination of tech integration. That was something that we added a few years ago with a certified staff member who does a great job with it, but she also had extra contract days to fulfill technology needs from K through 12. What we're hoping is, this teacher also has been a very successful 3rd grade teacher. We have a 3rd grade opening. She'll go back into 3rd grade. That conversation happened when we started the tech integration, is that this could be a possibility that, but again, the seniority is there. They're going to have a teaching position. By doing that, we save $54,000, another hire. And that happens because our PE, there are so many moving parts. Elementary PE teacher resigned, Sidney McCall, she's going to another state. Our 3rd grade teacher, Connor Sullivan, moved into the PE position. We have an open 3rd grade position. So basically, we're saving Sidney McCauley that amount. That's what we plugged in as a savings, because we're not hiring a person for that. That's where the tech integration person is going. And we're hoping that we can, another thing with the tech integration, 3 years ago, we were still fairly new with one-to-one devices, and Katie Magnus did an amazing job going in, coaching teachers how to integrate that into their classroom, and also providing technology courses to young kids. We have a lot of teachers that are able to provide that tech integration as well. If we had the money, that would be a great thing to have. Unfortunately, it's not an accreditation thing that we have to have it. So that's, there's not another classroom that we can cut without hitting accreditation. So that saved $54,000. Steve had the tough job of, we looked at the paras. There are a lot of paras in the elementary. It makes for great programming. Some of those paras are covered with our special ed fund. Some of them are covered with our title fund. And there was several that are just regular ed, comes out of the general budget. We have the option of moving people around, and Steve had to make the tough call, 2.5 pair positions, which did save us almost $66,000. The good news about that, and we do have 2 openings in the food program that we've offered, that they can make that movement as well. And the food program does not come out of the general budget. That's a so far, we've run that food program in the black. We're not overspending there. We've had a couple of openings in the food program. And so there are 2 openings there. They have that option if they would like to take that. Going down the list, the other thing we figured in is we've had a retirement that someone's been here a long time. So we took that savings because we have replaced that teacher. We're saving almost $34,000. So that's figured in there. And then, and this is another tough one. We had the foreign language teacher, 14% of hers is paid out of elementary. The rest is all high school. That person has resigned. And at this point, we're leaving it unfilled. Foreign language, that's a tough one. I mean, our kids need foreign language. There aren't a lot of applications or applicants even to be found out there. We do have the fallback to go to online, which isn't perfect, but MDTA. So if we don't fill the foreign language position, it saves elementary $9,000. And I'm sorry that if you can't see this, you'll be able to take a look at it. That actually puts us up to $257,000 that we've trimmed off. Remember, the goal is 292. Okay, so when you take the 292 and you trim off the 257, right now, our projection shows that we will be deficit spending in elementary $35,500. We kind of stopped the trims at that point, and you know, I've even calculated, you know, if we can do with less classroom budgets. I mean, we're going to be very frugal with everything we do and hope that we can trim the rest of that 35,000. And as I go through this, I'll tell you some of the ideas we have. So when you look at this on my report, Deanna Elms is remaining in the 1st grade. She is under contract. She's that 4th teacher of a really big section of kids. Marley Green has resigned. And I don't want to, you know, break privacy, but she just had a new baby. And so, I'm happy for her to be able to take that time, but that left an opening. Deanna's going to stay in 1st grade, and we're on the board agenda. We'll hire Michelle Mulhill. I know some of you interviewed her, and that's no extra cost to the district. That's just filling and replacing. And then this just goes through that list of Connor moved to elementary, and I've gone through that whole switch with Katie Magnus moving to 3rd. It saves 1 FTE. FTE is a full-time employee, so that saves an FTE. Tiffany Lynch is the 5th grade teacher that said she would be willing to move to 6th, and that saves 1 FTE. The elimination of the PE Friday program saves 1 FTE. And then Carrie Moore will be back in compliance with accreditation because she'll go back. Honestly, I misspoke. Even with Carrie in the library full-time, accreditation is saying we need a middle school librarian and a high school librarian, even though I've told them we have 1 library and we don't need 2 people in there. So we may take a little ding on that, but not nearly as much as if we didn't have Carrie in there full-time. Okay, the next part of my is the projected high school shortfall. When we talked levy talk, we were looking at $66,000. It's in red. And so we had projected an insurance increase, health insurance increase, so we get to back that out. That's good news. And then the adjustments through updating salaries adds another 49. And so honestly, they're right at, we consider hopefully a balanced budget at $8,000. Looking down in the next paragraph, and this is going to be ongoing conversations, the potential high school considerations are, we're going to save $16,000 if we're able to take a couple of teachers off special assignment. That means they're basically teaching all day long with no prep, and so they get an extra $8,000 each. And so we're going to be able to save that. That's what it looks like. We have the elimination of, if we go with the elimination of the foreign language, it'll save $54,000, but then we'll have to pay about $14,000 for MDTA for online for kids. So the total savings in the high school could potentially be $56,000. Added to that $8,000, the high school could be in in the black, $64,000. And that sounds like a lot, so it's not really when you're into the millions, and, I think it's just gonna be further conversation. We're gonna keep that foreign language posted and see if we get a quality candidate. I'll just be honest, I get nervous. I want balanced budgets and running it really close when you don't have all of the maybes out there. It's just a hard call. A foreign language teacher compared to, yeah. So I think we'll revisit that with the board as we see that June 30th where we end up, and also, do we have any applicants for it?
That foreign language, the 54,000 is that the high school's cost, and then the 9,000 is the other, so it's 64,000.
By the time, well, that's what we're figuring on that based on the person who left. But that also includes their health insurance and the retirement, all of those kinds of the benefits that we're having, say, work. Yeah. Yeah. And again, we had someone, and maybe we need to readjust that because we had someone that had a lot of experience in there, and we used that as the amount on that one, didn't we? Yeah. You never know if you're gonna get someone that comes in with, and now we've upped it to 50, we've set 15 years experience, so potentially could be more than that, or there aren't a lot of foreign language teachers out there. So, trying to wrap up this conversation, response to questions and suggestions. One of the things that came up is the 2YK program. It is a new program, so is that something that should have been considered? So Elisa pulled the numbers. We took that big jump, increase on our elementary budget because we enrolled 30 more kids. If we, those 30 kids are bringing in almost $224,000 in revenue between Head Start's contribution, IDEA, and the A and B we get on them. And then we took the new salaries for the, we're required to have paras and a teacher in each classroom. That total is $168,000. So the 2YK, we actually come out ahead $55,000. Now, when I say ahead, that's the kind of money that helps support lights and custodians and things like that, but it's not contributing to the deficit. So that's one we looked at. And then the last things on this would be all of the suggestions. Kathy Fellows, I think she should have a crown for all the grant writing. She put a bunch of links to things that elementary teachers, different people, hey, look at these grants. These are things you can do for your classroom. Athletic Booster Club may very well take some of the stress off of our athletics. PAC and PTA. There was a comment, how about restricting, don't buy tickets for admin and board to go to the games. We're all good with that. We'll you know, they do get some complimentary tickets, but we have in the past bought additional. No more of that. Restriction and oversight of athletic budgets, just making sure that we're being as frugal as we can, even if it means leaving at 5 a.m. instead of going the night before for a hotel. We're going to really monitor that carefully. We have to reduce our cleaning hours. People are using this building all the time, and we're paying a lot in overtime on custodians, and so we're going to have to really take a hard look at that. We're asking teachers and everyone, we've got what's called paper cut. We're monitoring how many copies you make, because our paper bills and our copy bills. See, those are those ways we can trim away that $40,000, hopefully. Next one on here is increased technology charges. We're not going to be able to continue to replace our technology because the grants that Bobby has written, the ESSER money has gone away, and now we're going to have to charge people enough. And if they break, you know, and some of our kids have done it on purpose. If they break it, they're going to have to replace it. We're going to up the charges, elementary from 15 to 20, and middle school, high school from 25 to 40. There's another suggestion our staff had, and we agree, is increased charges for facility use. Maybe not increase the rates, but uniformly charge anyone and anything that is not a school-sponsored activity. If you're going to come in and use the building on the weekend, you're going to have to pay something to pay for the custodian. And when it's cold, we have to have people here checking doors and windows because of what can happen. Charge for Little Wolves, the suggestion is $25 a student. It has been free. Restrict field trips per administrative approval. We may have to cut down the number. We just have to take a look at the cost of those. charge fees for after school and summer. We can't do that while grants paying for it, but if we don't get this next grant, next summer we'll be charging for summer school. And, you know, we don't want to do that because that's gonna limit some kids, but if we don't have the money, we'll have to charge for that. And then also charge for summer strength and conditioning. And again, we see kids coming in and it's healthy and it's good for them, but if we have to support it, then they may have to pay a fee for that. Related, the last thing I have, the list of suggestions from staff related to athletics and activities, and keep in mind, what we say there is not going to affect the elementary budget. That's where the high school, and well, it can, because we've got some middle school athletics, so it can affect, I take that back. We're gonna reduce the overnight events, increase the activity passes from $75 to $100, from $175 to $250 for a family. I feel strongly, and I think the admin team does, that we will have a scholarship there for, should never become only the kids that can afford can play. We're gonna have a scholarship if a kid, if they're, for instance, if they're free or reduced meals, maybe we'll be able to waive that. So we're not gonna restrict kids. Another thing is move more of our events to Fridays. The problem with that, when we were the first ones to go with no school on Friday, well, the other schools couldn't play on Friday because they're still in school, so that didn't work. But now we've got so many 4-day districts. The big cost has been paying all the subs that are coming in for all the teachers that when they're playing on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So we're going to try to make a move to more events on Fridays, eliminate the district paid meals for students. That we do have an amount on. So far, and that is with everything that's happening now, we were up to $18,500 that we've been paying for kids' meals. And again, we'll have to have a scholarship kind of thing. I mean, not a scholarship, but we'll have to have a plan in place if somebody can't afford a meal, they're not going to go hungry. We'll have some packed lunches. We're going to work on that. Last few things, wrestling co-op had a conversation with our AD, and I know there was some comments that they thought there was an agreement for them to pay for a coach. The agreement that Mr. Hauser has shared is that Ennis is to pay 25% of wrestling expenses. So they're being invoiced for that. Softball travel supplies, coach stipends. That agreement was for 3 years for them to cover expenses. That's being billed back. And then limit travel for band and cheer. They can still do the local events, but when we're talking about far events where there's hotel rooms, maybe not have them go on a Wednesday, but wait until if our team gets to a Friday championship, go then. Because when you start paying for rooms for band and cheer every night, it costs a lot. And then just taking a look at reduction in game day workers, maybe trying to get more volunteers, whether it's line judges or chain gang or, the score clocks. I know that's a lot, but this document is in the board packet. We did not ignore, we wanted to have those lists so that our community and our board knows that we are committed to trying everything we can to get to a balanced budget. So, can we go back to my report and I can wrap it up?
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Oh, sure.
Do we have any ideas to maybe use interlocal where high school is doing so well, whereas elementary is seeing that shortfall? If we're in the black with high school at the moment, is it possible to use that interlocal fund to cover the shortfall in elementary versus maybe keeping the position open for foreign language? And if we're 65-ish in the black at the high school and we're 58-ish in the red in the elementary fund, then can that money go into the interlocal into the interlocal to cover the shortage in the elementary, so we don't have to continue. It's a really big bummer when the elementary gets hit this hard, and I understand why, and I recognize how complex all of this is. I guess my question is it possible to take that number here in the black and allocate it into our interlocal to cover our expenses in the elementary?
So that number that you're seeing in the black at the high school includes not having a foreign language program. So if they are to continue, or if we're continue to have that possibility, then you're looking at $8,000 in the black. So I can answer this in a nutshell. I understand the desire to do that. I can tell you as a superintendent and talking to other superintendents and talking to people in budget, it is a very bad practice to continue to try to use interlocal that is not, there's no funding stream for that. So let me give you some ideas of what interlocal is used by other districts and what it can be used for. So when you code something off that is continually and recurring, you're draining the interlocal and you're not balancing your budget. That's what we've been doing for 3 years. We've been kicking the can down the road, and I'll be honest, if we're doing our jobs about having a balanced budget, we need to have a balanced budget. I understand it really is not fair, doesn't feel good for elementary, but you need to understand elementary is way overstaffed, not overstaffed, but has way more staffing than middle school or high school. And so the ratio, I even looked at the ratio of staff to students. What the interlocal can and should be used for would be the board to consider at the end of this next year. We have a number of people that would like to retire, and we know that that saves the district money, but we take a huge hit. We don't have the money. We do not have the money in the general fund to make that incentive payment for multiple people to retire. So that's a use for it. Last night I was at the tennis banquet. Again, I thought we had the van fixed, and I hate to even say this. We're using it and the door flew open, and so we had the door fixed. Well, now it doesn't roll all the way back, it just pops open. We have vehicles that are nearing the end of their usage, and a healthy district plan is that you would have those on rotation so that the drivers and the cars, the vans, that there's a replacement, and think about how much that hits every time you're replacing one of those. We've had to use interlocal for the unexpected, like major legal fees, or the audit is way more expensive, or we had other funds that went deficit, like the building reserve or the transportation. We had bus repairs that went beyond what we had. We had to reach into interlocal. Those are non-recurring things. Those are emergency fund things. That's what an interlocal is used for. And to go to the community, I'll just say my absolute recommendation, and I know it's not popular, but we have a plan to say that we're making the cuts that you've told us trim up. This is how we balance the budget. And if we kick the can down the road, the whole conversation is going to happen again. We didn't even come close to passing that levy. It was 35%.
That's not answering my question. So I'm sorry, I didn't write that down, but what I'm saying is if we're in the black because we haven't hired a foreign language teacher yet, correct?
8,000. Oh, if we don't.
If we don't, I'm saying, what if, because we're a small district, we're not very big, right? We have the high school and we have the elementary, that's it. And purposely allocate that to go into interlocal, not to touch any of the other interlocal funds, which I understand what you're addressing on that. I'm saying, what if we don't hire a foreign language teacher, keep ourselves very in the black on the high school end, and allocate it to go into interlocal so that it can be used to cover the deficit in elementary, so we don't have to continue to cut more in elementary.
So what you're saying is we're sacrificing, because there are parents out there that want foreign language for their students. So then you start measuring, because I mean, we've had every conversation, numbers are down in music. Do we have a music department in our, I mean, but Emily, there's always going to be people who have a passion for a particular program. I am not marginalizing what tech integration did. That is not a common program that everybody has. Our teachers are able to do that, and we've got a teacher that can go into 3rd grade, and we can get closer to having a balanced budget. I'm not comfortable with saying, oh, we're going to keep this, and then we're going to have no foreign language for the high school. If the high school has a good balanced budget, we need to be looking at offering more AP classes more physics, I don't think we can draw from one to balance the other. That's my point.
So what about the two IK program? We're in the black 55,000 of that. Where is that? Is that considered part of the element?
No, so, right, but it's not an extra pot of money sitting out there. That budget is already within our general budget and it's helping float everything. The reason we looked at that was, is that something that should be cut? Is it a drain on the district? And it's not. So that's again why every classroom teacher is impacting our A and B, because those are required classes, those kids count. We're not required to have the tech integration, and that's why that was considered. And we've had conversations that professional development can even happen on our Fridays where the tech teacher could offer PD to the teachers with what, and honestly, it's not even a full-time student delivery. It's going in a couple days a week and doing coaching in the classes, and so that could happen on our Fridays as well. I'm just telling you my opinion on putting forth a balanced budget and not continuing to pull out of interlocal, because I get very uncomfortable when you're pulling out for one and you're cutting from another, and the high school has needs as well.
But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, it could be done. But our enrollment's dropping. And right now we have a good healthy budget because our enrollment was up for so many years. So it's based on 3-year average of A&B. So we keep at 230, you know, we'll be asking to use that interlocal here in a couple years as well. Plus, and maybe I can save this, but for Christian and Leanna, there's a new state law. I can't cite it. Maybe Robert knows it. We have to provide distance learning to kids, so that'll correspond to MTDA. So I anticipate our MTDA grade, like the amount of dollars we have to spend on that, to increase quite dramatically, because they can technically do that. And I don't want anybody to hear this, but they can technically do it offsite. It's like we under law have to provide a distance learning package, and I don't know what that looks like. So there's an unanticipated cost going on with that.
Greg, you bring up a good point that I didn't talk about, and that was in the levy. We talked about even having asking for more for the high school, because we talked about this. The funding for the high school is either the highest enrollment you had during the year or a 3-year average, whichever's higher. And obviously, when we have been dropping the last couple of years, we're dropping off the high number. It's going down. And we're anticipating a really big hit on the high school when the preliminary budgets will come out March 1st. We're anticipating a major shortfall there. That's why the levy asked for more in the high school. We knew we were close to balancing right now, but we knew that this in upcoming, we were going to take a big hit.
In 2 years, we'll be averaging 55 per class, so we'll be down about 250 kids. So it's gonna get a little scarier before it gets better, unless we can recruit and open enrollment, open our doors and provide good product for kiddos who want to come here. But it's all kind of adjustment. I mean, one option is to take teachers off a special assignment, but that also directly affects their pocketbooks. And I don't know if it's feasible to cut that class. I mean, all of those classes right now, but you know, we're working with a skeleton crew, and our staff does a really good job. Yeah, we're killing it. So come to Three Forks. We'd love your A&B money. Yeah, move here.
Can you put it down on my report? So quickly going through the other things, is I know we've got a lot on the agenda. We have board members are required to go through board training. I've been in contact with John Nielsen and MTSBA, and they're going to send us some dates. And it's really nice when we can do one on site with our people. So I'll share those dates as soon as I have them. And to offset the cost, I think it's $700 to offset the cost. We're going to reach out to other districts and see if they would like to send their boards to join us as well. and they'll have to pay something to help pay for it, so.
On that note, I'm sorry to interrupt you. June seventh, there's one in Helena that's free for board members, and it's very, very great.
I saw something I've meant to look at too, an online one.
You can do it online, Zoom, or you can go to the headquarters.
And I think one of the thoughts also behind maybe doing something here would be also to have some conversations and networking and look at our strategic plan and that type of thing as well. They'll kind of customize it for us. The next one is just, and it's the unfortunate part of being part of the board. Lori had to step back as well. So we have to close our account with Ace Hardware, because we can't have a board member with any kind of business interest. Lori's husband wasn't able to do our fencing. We had some people that, like Matt, wanted to drive the bus. You can't have, and I did double check it with NPSBA. And if it's within the family in any context, we can't have that. So we'll have to close that. We have resignations. The resignations are Tiffany Lynch has resigned as head volleyball coach. Alicia Boone has resigned as middle school cross-country coach. Marley Green, first grade teacher. Erin Lattimore, PE Friday teacher. Brandy Elfland, special ed. Did have a conversation with her yesterday. She's phenomenal. The thing with special ed is they have so much evening and weekend paperwork, and she said she'd love to stay at Three Forks if we had a social studies opening. We don't. She said to visit her again in August if we hadn't found a special ed teacher that she would reconsider. But I think that she's been amazing. Sarah Dolan has resigned as secretary. Last area is facility maintenance and enhancement final projects, summer 2024. They're going to close down. They're going to come in that week of June 3rd while we still have school going on, but they're going to start demoing the student parking lot. They're going to close down and put a dumpster outside of the middle school on 2nd Street. They're going to start tearing down that middle school entrance. So when we have people coming for graduation, we'll have to direct them not to come through there. And they'll start probably the entrance to the middle school, the flooring, and then we'll have to coordinate moving all the middle school classrooms out to one side. They'll do one side of the hallway with carpet, then we'll move and we'll go the other side with carpet. That is my report.
Oh, sorry, I just realized that's me. Sorry about that. I was gonna have the other questions for Rhonda.
I wonder how
Somewhere
much to keep
right in
going.
between, I don't know. No questions?
So
Oh,
I was thinking about that balance at the end of the year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, but don't they all have to be zeroed out anyway? Like, can't carry,
In the general funds,
yeah, we can't carry like,
you can have like 10% or something in reserves.
You're supposed to have.
oh,
That you're supposed to have.
so it doesn't
something
have
else.
to be moved into an interlocal. That's what I thought at one point. Just asking clarification.
We're not anticipating anything to get moved.
Okay, right.
all right, more questions for? Okay, Director of Technology, Bobby Lambert.
I may keep this really short because the only thing anybody really wants to hear about is when is the internet coming back on? I don't know the answer to that. Lumen, it is not in my hands. It's not in the school's hands. It's Lumen. In my personal opinion, they have a failing infrastructure. It originated on Sunday with a split line in Billings. Then it was a card issue in Billings. And then it went to Salt Lake for something. And then they just closed that ticket off and just decided not to talk about it anymore. So I made a lovely phone call again this morning. And they found more problems that nobody had even asked about. So that guy put another ticket in. They've updated me till about 3 o'clock, and now they're not updating me again. The last update was it was going to be fixed sometime this evening. Crossing my fingers that it's turned on tomorrow. I wish I had better news. I wish I had more control over this. I don't. One of the issues I hear is people asking, well, why don't we just change internet providers? Three Forks has a fiber line. It is through Lumen. Somebody mentioned Starlink. Starlink does a 2 terabyte a month data, so you get 2 terabytes to download a month. Our school would probably rip through that in about, I'm just estimating 2.5 days. So it really is a tough call. We're also under government contract with Lumen, with our E-rate money. I wish I had great news and could say, dude, it's gonna be on tomorrow. I'm crossing my fingers that they don't tell me once again, nope. This went down on Sunday. They came back and said it would be up by Monday morning at 5:48. They said, oh, no, never mind. It's not gonna be up. It'll be up tomorrow by 6 a.m. 5:30, I called, they got a little snippy. 6 o'clock, I called back and said, why isn't it up? We still don't have internet. I've been checking my emails. We still don't know. Other than that, everything's hunky-dory.
We love you, Mr. Lauber.
So, the second the internet comes back up, you'll probably hear a cheer from me. I appreciate all the staff and everybody just working, through it. I want to thank Miss O. She brought her T-Mobile home internet over. That's what's running the elementary offices to make sure our phones ring. I'd like to thank my family because our internet came over. It was running the middle school, and I'd also like to thank my daughter. Her phone was running the high school. So I really appreciate everybody just, working around stuff, finding creative ways to print, to do everything that you guys do on a daily basis. I'd like to thank all of the staff for that. Questions for me?
We thank you because I know you're here at midnight and 4 a.m. and I don't think anybody knows the amount of stress and hours of sleep you've been missing. We just have to get a little cranky, so.
I do get cranky. I did have quite a few students today ask me when I was gonna turn it back on. I was like, I don't know. How much money you got? I don't have control. There's not a switch. I promise I'm not trying to keep the internet from people. If I could flip that switch, I would. If anybody has a card that fits Lumen stuff, drive it to Salt Lake, Billings on the way. Be super duper.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
High school principal Greg Hayes.
Teacher of the month for, I guess it was our last teacher Friday teacher meeting, was handed forward to Mr. Schultz. So if you see him, congratulate him. He's gonna have it all summer, so I think the teachers really wanted to give it to him so that he'd build a worthwhile trophy and not just a plastic apple, so we can kind of compete with other areas in the building that have much nicer trophies than we do. So I know Mr. Schultz has already started some final projects, and it's looking like they're making our teachers and our staff a new trophy. Fourth quarter midterms were handed out to students. I'd like to figure out a way to get those to the students digitally or sent home digitally, just so we're not, that's actually probably the biggest expenditure of paper for me, is report cards. I think, semester finals and that kind of stuff obviously need to go home, their final report cards, but it does contribute to a lot of our copies. Infinite Campus, the calendar has been rolled forward. We are meeting our number of curricular minutes. Student course registration has been taking place. And that's what I've been looking at is the schedule for next year. We've got great numbers in a lot of our electives. It's, we're probably gonna cut a physics class and we'll be running 27 kids in a physics class just so I can save some money on teacher on special assignment. Our PE classes will get probably a little bit bigger. So I can try to save some money there, and we'll see what numbers happen. And really, I won't know that until fall of, the kids that still want to stay on Spanish if we don't end up hiring that position. It still is open on OPIA. It's still open on Frontline. We also have 2 SPED applicants, or excuse me, SPED openings, one for the high school / middle school and one for the high school / middle school. So that's something where if you know somebody that's endorsed, we'd love to interview them and get them on here at 3-4. Evaluations have been done for a little while on my end. You'll see appendixes tonight. I think we're already hiring some classified suggestions. And then end of the year planning. It's come so quick. All of a sudden, Mrs. Hader's in my office. We're freaking out about graduation. and all that kind of stuff going on. So I will need to know what board members plan on attending graduation. Who wants to attend baccalaureate? Mr. Lynch will probably talk to you about middle school graduation. That's usually vice chair. We also, for the first time, and it's down on the bottom, we're gonna do a senior award ceremony, May 30th at 7 p.m. So put that on your calendar. That's where we're gonna hand out 95% of the scholarships and awards, just to try to cut graduation down from 2 hours. Other schools have done it for years. I think it actually, we can spend a little bit more time and not just rip through, you know, those scholarship presentations, because it used to be we read off almost every one of them. And then it got to just hand them a manila envelope, and it would be nice just to have a special night for those guys. So again, that's May 30th at 7 p.m. Mr. Hessen will be running that. Baccalaureates at 7 p.m. on May 29th. And let me go back up to here. So end of the year planning. Yeah, just trying to plan out graduation. It's blowing me away how quickly it's coming. Somebody forgot to drop, or somebody dropped the ball and didn't order valedictorian or salutatorian award trophies. That'd probably be me, but I got them ordered today. They're supposed to be here by the end of the week, so it's not Monday. That was an oh boy moment. Fortunately, he emailed somebody else in the building, and it just got realized today.
Greg, I think, the conversation I had with Andy Hessen, the memorial scholarships will occur on graduation if the families want that.
If they prefer that,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, some of that's still in a little bit of limbo, but what he's got now is pretty extensive, so we'll plan on being there for a good hour. I think. Spring sports, we're sending off tennis tomorrow, the state, we're sending off softball and track on Thursday. If you didn't see the news, Three Forks Golf wrapped up. The girls came back from being in 5th place after the first day, ended up 3rd, so they took home some trophies. And Ari Judd, I mean, what a performance. I can't speak highly enough. State champion. She put in the effort. She's gonna go off and play college golf, and she's very well deserved. And I think, I don't know how she did it. I was watching a little bit of it on Golf Genius, and man, the second round she put together, nobody was gonna touch her. She just pretty much put everybody to shame and the dust. So, congratulations to Ari. Other than that, I'm trying to figure out what distance learning is gonna look like. Like I mentioned to you guys, I'm trying to find the state statutes that say we have to do this. The laws are just changing so quickly, so rapidly, whether it be special education to athletic spending to how we provide education. It's just, it's rapidly changing. And Elisa mentioned the teams and the end of the year reporting through Infinite Campus. It's like, it got just expanded tremendously this year. There's reports due that we don't even know exist. And all of a sudden we don't have anybody assigned to do the reports, and they don't appear on our Infinite Campus until all of a sudden they're due. So that'll be a big hurdle. Hopefully, once we get graduation wrapped up and I can sit down at my computer and get a lot of those reports taken care of, so they're ready to click submit for our superintendent and our district clerk. Hopefully I can try to help with that. Other than that, we don't have school next Monday. We do have Memorial Day off. I mentioned academic awards, baccalaureate, senior awards. Oh, excuse me, academic awards assembly for the high school. Just so the teachers know, make sure you get back online when you do and get those filled out. That is taking place 1:45 or 1:49 to 2:45, and I believe that's on May 30th. No. The 29th. I think it's on Wednesday, the 29th. And graduation, we'll see you at graduation 2 p.m. That's all I have. Welcome to the board.
Thank you. Thank you.
You get to sit through mine every month.
I do have a question.
Yes.
How did you get moved to the top of the list?
Just lucky, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Anything else for Mr. Hayes? Okay, middle school principal, Mr. Lynch.
Just gonna start off with enrollment. In the past few months, we've taken a dip. Thing this month, we've added several kiddos in the middle school in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. So we're up 3 from last month. The total of 172, which is good to see. Obviously, again, just like kind of every year, with all the schools that we usually take a bit of a jump in enrollment at the start of the year. That kind of dwindles down throughout the middle of the year towards the end. So it's good to see that kind of spike back up here towards the end. But student centered. This is the majority of my report today. But last week we held the middle school semi-formal, which was tons of fun. Kids had an absolute blast. Big shout out to Heidi Donnelly for kind of getting the idea and pushing that. And big thank you to all the parents that came out and helped chaperone that. So that's exactly what they want to do on Thursday night. But kids had an absolute blast, great turnout. And that was put on by the eighth grade class as a fundraiser to help pay for their eighth grade trip coming up here on May 30th. So it's been a big thing as of here lately that the middle school, they want more events like that because we haven't had a lot in the past. And parents are all for it. They say they'll help out as well as staff members. So hopefully kind of plan is going forward, doing more things like that on a consistent basis next year. So like Greg said, fourth quarter midterms were handed out here last week. So parents, if you haven't received those yet, ask your kiddo or contact me. It should be home by now. Again, like I said, eighth grade trip will be May 30th. Those kiddos are headed to Billings for the day. Years past, they would just kind of after promotion, they'd go over to the Bozeman Hot Springs for a few hours. And that was when Miss Donnelly took over as the eighth grade advisor this year. She wanted to do more, wanted to give those kids a better trip, something a little more special. So she got those kids motivated, and they fundraised their butts off, and they've raised a bunch of money. And so they've got an awesome day planned out for the 30th. They're going to the Reef, and they're going to it's called Wild Rose. Got a bunch of different things you can do there, kind of like laser tag. Actually have axe throwing, which I'm not feeling real good about. It'll go well. Along with a bunch of other different activities, and they're going to go out to eat. So big shout out to Heidi and that eighth grade class for I think they raised them over $5,000 for this, which is pretty cool. Eighth grade promotion is set for June 4th at 7 p.m. in the big gym. Again, Josh, Mr. Jarvis is doing a great job. Middle school leadership council continues to meet on a weekly basis to go over different aspects of student life here in the middle school. Down to SBAC testing, that's pretty well complete at this point. I think as of earlier today, we were at, depending on the grade level, 100 to 98% complete. So I think we were waiting on one kiddo to finish up. They might have one more test to finish up tomorrow, and all the other principals will get together and we'll present a report on our state testing here. I think we decided to do it in August. But kind of the preliminary results we've gotten so far have been very, very good. We're seeing a pretty big jump in all subject areas of SBAC, which is really, really good to see. So excited to get kind of the final report with that. I know generally we get a report back to us from Mr. Sullivan that kind of breaks everything down. So really excited to get that and get that to our teachers so we can start digging into it and making plans going into next year. So fifth grade step up day was today and yesterday, where I think we've had that in the past before my time here, but Past 2 days, we've kind of broken up the fifth graders into two different groups. And they all came up and spent the day with a sixth grade mentor. And literally followed them around from class to class, to lunch, to, their outside lunch recess time, and just to help acclimate them a little bit to where it's not, okay, day one of school in the fall, they're showing up and have no idea what's going on. So that's something, feedback we've gotten the past couple of years is the kids are super nervous. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what the classrooms are. So far we've had great feedback from all those kids and the teachers. So something we'll continue to look at and try to improve upon, going forward in the future. And again, big shout out to Mr. Jarvis. He kind of took the lead on that and helped organize that. And he continues to do an absolutely phenomenal job helping out with those kids and the rest of the school. Middle school football camp started today. It'll go tomorrow as well as Thursday for all incoming 6th, 7th, and 8th graders for next year. So if you didn't see that, you can still show up tomorrow or on Thursday. We have I think there's some the signups or information packets online on the website as well as in the middle school office. So if you need anything, just swing by and we can get you in contact with coach and get you the proper information.
Great. Was there a presentation to mail in to it says?
Yes, yeah.
Did that for the kids?
Yep.
Step up thing, okay.
So thanks for putting that out. So all the 5th graders today, this morning at 8:30 came up and Deputy Malin met with them and just went over life as a middle schooler. The challenges, the things they're gonna see, things to stay away from, what to do in conflict, stuff like that. Just a little bit of introduction and help to give them a little insight on what to expect as a middle schooler, because middle school is kind of hard at times for kiddos from the social aspect and everything. So, big thank you to him, because it was really good. And all the hiring for middle school is pretty complete with the exception of special education teachers, which we're hoping to get worked out here relatively soon. Been working on kind of the end of the year duties. Greg and I, there was a big project might have dived into this week was trying to figure out our master schedule for the middle school and how it is intertwined and works for high school. So that's going to be an ongoing thing, but usually try to wait until we get all of our hirings done for the most part, so we can kind of jigsaw puzzle that together and see what we have to work with. So that's about all I have. Oh, one more feature of the month for the month of May was Jody Lohr. So big shout out to Jody Lohr. She continues to do an absolute amazing job with her kiddos in her classroom, as well as help out a lot of our younger staff that we have in middle school. So I can't say enough good things about her. And I appreciate it.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Lynch? Okay, moving on to Mr. Fanning.
Right, student-centered. We did have our spring concerts last week, so a big shout out to Sue and Mr. Beebe for putting those on. This auditorium was packed and the kids did a great job, so got a little hot. Yeah, but I think we're used to that. Field day, Mrs. McCauley's planning that. That's scheduled for May 30th. Always a big day. We encourage friends, family, community members to show up for that. Just cross your fingers for some sunny weather. Third trimester award celebration. We do have that scheduled for June 5th, so it is the last day of school at 9 a.m. We're hoping to do that outside again, sunny weather. But again, it's always great to have friends and family there to celebrate the kids and all their accomplishments. Summer enrichment, big shout out to Lisa. I know she already gave her presentation on that. She's doing a great job. That program keeps getting better and it's good for our kids, so we really appreciate that. Summer sports camps. June is busy for our kids in Three Forks. They have a lot to do, which is great. So if you haven't checked that out, get on our district website. I know all of the sports camps are posted on there. So please take a look at that. I know NBI, we do have folks signing up. Now they've kind of changed it. It's called OPI Summer Conference. But I know a lot of our staff are signing up to attend that. That's always a good PD opportunity for our people. Operations and capacity building, spring early childhood screening. We did have kindergarten screening on May 2nd. We had 35 students participate. We did have some that reached out and they weren't able to attend. So it's always tricky. We get roughly that much to 40 that come in the spring, and then we always don't know who's going to show up in the fall. So we always try to do a welcome back screening at that time too, just to see what we're dealing with. And all of that information will be shared with parents as we get closer to the start of the school year, because kindergarten and 2YK, starts the year a little different. 2YK screening, I know our ladies did a great job sharing a presentation there about 2YK, but they did hold their screening last week. Sounds like it went really well. Really appreciate their help with that. They're doing a great job with that program. SBAC testing. It's been a little tough finishing that up, but we're getting close. We're using hotspots and phones and everything, and it's actually working, which is surprising. But we are close. They have to be done by Thursday. I feel good about where we're at. Didn't anticipate, obviously none of us did, but I mean, we're working through it, and I know we just have some kids that just need to finish a few things up. So one really cool thing, we've been working with some different literacy consultants, and Danielle Thompson has reached out and she wants our school to participate in a Language is Everything symposium this summer. It's one day, it's free for our team. So we're excited about that. I think it's a good opportunity for us to continue to grow with all the changes we're making with literacy and reading. So yeah, K-5 enrollment, you've seen just that steady drop, and that's something, I mean, it's crazy to think about that. We were just on that incline so much, and like Greg was talking about with his numbers too, it's really starting to fall down, and I don't know if that's going to pick back up or if that's just going to be a trend here. So it's just something we're dealing with, and obviously that impacts our changes with staffing and things like that as well. So any questions for me? I apologize to my staff. I need to do a shout out for our superhero award. You guys remember who it was this month? Rachel Richardson, new third grade teacher. She's doing an amazing job. So I'm going to add that on here. I know you guys are all hating on me, so I'm not doing that, but we just have awesome staff members, and that's K through 12. It's tough to select those, but we have a lot of people doing a great job. So
Thank you. All right, on to new business. We have a recommendation to approve Reed Woodward and Jaden Woodland as substitute teachers.
I'll make a motion to approve Reed Woodward and Jaden. Sorry. Reed Woodward and Jaden Woodland. I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Sorry,
All
who
those-
seconded?
Thank you. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have a recommendation to approve Michelle Mulhill for second grade teaching position for the 2024-2025 school year with salary to be determined.
I'll make a recommendation to recommend to approve Michelle Mulhill for second grade teaching position for the 24-25 school year with salary to be determined.
I'll second it. Any more discussions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we have a recommendation to approve Jack Hebner scholarship sponsorship and dedication of the new flagpole.
So we spoke about this last time and didn't have it on the agenda as an approval. They're going to, if somebody could speak better about it, his family has asked to help offset the cost of the new flagpole that's in part of our summer project, and he was here for, I don't remember the number of years, so it was only 30 plus, yeah. And means a lot to the community, and I didn't have it listed on the agenda as an approval. It was a discussion, so it's that. If you need me to revisit it, the information was in last month's.
One of them going to be here tonight, possibly. They talked about it.
They weren't going to be here tonight, but they'll be here for the dedication once we do it, and they're going to put the plaque out here, so we'll have that dedication then.
I'll make a motion to approve Jack sponsorship and dedication. I'll second.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have a recommendation to approve the rehire of the classified staff seen on attachment A for 2024-25 school year.
Again, that's in the packet. And
I'll
it's
make the recommendation to approve the rehire of classified staff attachment A for the 24-25 school year.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have our recommendation to approve the resolution requesting Gallatin County Elections Office to conduct fiscal year 25 elections.
That's a form, we have to do this every year.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution requesting Gallatin County Elections Office to conduct fiscal year 25 elections.
I'll second that. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have a recommendation to approve semester 2 claim for bus route reimbursement TR6.
I'll make a recommendation to approve the semester 2 claim for bus route reimbursement to.
I'll second it. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have a recommendation to approve semester 2 claims for individual transportation reimbursement TR5.
I'll make a motion for the recommendation to approve semester 2 claims for the individual transportation reimbursement TR5.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have a recommendation to approve the trade-in of used buses and purchase of a new 81 passenger wrapped bus.
So Craig is here in case you have questions. This was discussed a few months ago. So we have some buses that are sitting in the lot, we're not using, they're depreciated out. We're also still having to insure them. And a few months back, Craig did look and sometimes it's very tricky finding a bus. So this would be a new yellow bus. Our real problem is that we haven't been able, in a perfect world, we'd have another route, we have another driver, we don't have. So we have to have a bus that's big enough because it had to combine. I expressed my concern because it doesn't happen often, but we've had issues where we've had too many kids for the bus. And I understood the conversation about how that appears to the public that we're spending money when we say that we are balancing budgets. So I want to say very, very clearly, this comes out of funds that can only be used to purchase buses. And I know that it'll be, this amount will be updated this month, but the combined cash of the elementary, high school bus depreciation funds is at over $200,000, 220, almost $230,000. The total purchase price of the new bus is $130,332.48. They're still willing to honor it because they do have one bus. They had two, I believe they had two buses. Is that correct, Craig? There were two. They still have one. He checked back with them. They said they would still honor the same trade-in allowance of $38,500, which brings our net cost at almost $92,000. So we're just revisiting that to see, because there is a concern that the bus is overcrowded.
I'll make a motion to approve, trade-in of these buses and purchase of new 81 passenger route bus.
I'll second. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have a recommendation to approve the resolution for surplus property disposal.
And I've just listed, Shelby, Alan sent a list. She's got some old library shelves. They're double-sided. So if you're interested in that, she'd be able to show you those shelves. And so those are listed on surplus. I don't have that pulled up in front of me. What else is on there, Bobby?
Route buses.
The route buses. So we're not gonna actually surplus them out, but they're surplus in that we're gonna trade them in.
Fiber walls.
And, oh, and the library, the elementary library also has a divider wall. I don't know if anybody has a use for it, but it hasn't been used the whole time she's been here. She said it's obsolete, but there is a big divider wall that needs to be surplus. And I will remind, we did surplus a really nice, large refrigerator and a trash receptacle that were part of the building bond. The big refrigerator, we had to use that while they were demoing the kitchen. And when we were using that trailer, if you'll remember, so we have a big refrigerator that now we have built-in coolers we don't need. So, that hasn't gone anywhere yet. So we're gonna make another attempt. We may actually take pictures and go to some of the businesses or restaurants and say you have a need for it. I just want to shout out about that. It's not on that list. It's already been approved, but, we have that. And on the side, this is off topic, but that food trailer, we're making money. It's still being rented by another district who's had to demo their, so I finally found some use. How about that? So
I'll make a
surplus.
motion. I'll make a motion to approve resolution for surplus. I'll second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next we have a recommendation to rehire head football coach Connor Sullivan and head cross country coach Tara Forsberg. I'll make a motion for the recommendation to rehire head football coach Connor Sullivan and head cross country coach Tara Forsberg. I'll second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next we have a recommendation to approve the authorization of the Three Forks Wolves Booster Club.
Hi. Maybe you guys all been here for a long time, so just bear with me while I read line by line through my 17, 18 pages. Just kidding, I will not do that to anybody. So, I'm just gonna kind of touch over the basic stuff. All of the board members, you guys all have copies of this. If you have any questions, just reach out to us. So Tara and Jess, you guys want to say hi? The three of us just kind of got hooked up together and getting an active booster club going has been something that has been on my heart for 10 years. And the last 2 years, I've started pushing it more and more and more. And now we're in a position where we can actually start raising some funds. I know my personal opinion is one of the pushbacks for not wanting to support the school is how much money we spend on sports. And a lot of people have the opinion that sports is something extra, should not be part of school, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. I have kids that are in sports and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that if my son didn't have to turn in that homework or show up for class in order to be eligible to play, he probably wouldn't have bothered. His grades would not be what they are if he didn't have to stay eligible. Because nothing's worse than getting that call and saying, hey, sorry, you're not going on the golf trip this weekend because you have Friday school. So I think there's a lot of benefit of it. But I feel like for our community, if we could show them that us sports parents are being more responsible and contributing to the cost of sports, maybe we could get some more support for our community to support our education and our teachers and our paras and our school supplies and all the things that we need. So this was already in the works before the levy did not get passed. But probably still more of an urgency now because of that. There's quite a few rules that we didn't know about when we first started sitting down to discuss this. So we have our request for authorization. We have our articles of incorporation, and then we have our bylaws. And if the school board does give us the go ahead, we'll be filing all of this. We will be setting up a 501c3, so it will be nonprofit. which is great for businesses to be able to donate because then it's a tax write-off for them and individuals as well. So just to read just a tiny bit, I swear I'm not gonna read all 18 pages. The purpose of the Three Forks Wolves Booster Club is to support athletic and academic excellence in all student athletes, promote active and involved parents and community leadership, promote sportsmanship, and provide supplementary financial support to all of Three Forks schools, junior high and high school athletics and activities. We also did put activities in there just because some sports things are considered activities, and we wanted that to be included just in case anyone's curious on that. So we are gonna have, so at this time, I think I'm president. Yeah. So I'm like, I think, so I am president at this time. Jessica is vice president and Tara is secretary and treasurer. So it's just the three of us putting it together. Once we get this all done and we filed all the paperwork, we're completely in compliance with everything the school requires. Then we will actually have meetings and we will elect we'll elect our board. We're hoping to have 7, that's what we have listed that we want, and which would be a president, a vice president, a secretary, a treasurer, and then a person who handles like the communications, the social media, getting all the information out. And then we would have 3 others. Hopefully we would have a parent, somebody, a business owner, and maybe a teacher. Just so that we have all aspects covered. For anybody who's at home watching this that's interested, we want everyone to be involved. I've been a part of so many things, and Steve can tell you where there's 3 of us that show up and raise all the money. And it's a lot of work. And when you have 20 people who show up to do a lot of work, it's not much work. So we really hope to get a lot of support. Even if you don't have kids in school, even if you don't have kids, period. Maybe you just are somebody who wants to be involved. This is open to everyone. And we hope that the school gives us approval to proceed. Do you guys have any questions?
So is the district club only supporting athletics? There's lots of clubs, there's different Olympics, there's Hula Children's Theater, there's National Honor Society.
I would say to begin with, mostly we're gonna be supporting that. From what I've heard, there are some other organizations that other people are trying to start that would also be doing fundraising that could support things like that. Obviously, sports is something that I feel like we're more passionate about and putting, willing to put a lot of work into. Just so that, I mean, we saw the numbers up there. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could go back to the community and say, hey, guess what? We raised $30,000 that covered a huge chunk of our sports. And then that's no longer a concern or an issue. I know that one of the things that a lot of different booster clubs do is they make goodie bags when the kids are heading off to divisionals and states, or I guess, do we have districts? We have districts in some sports, right? Like, yeah. And districts. So just things like that we have not had, if there's a parent who heads it up, then that team gets the stuff done for them. But if there's not a parent who takes charge, then it doesn't get done. And then you've got parents that have a kid on that sport and they're like, well, how come my kid didn't get a goodie bag to go on their trip? Well, probably because of the door. So.
Michelle, how do you pick and choose what you contribute to?
So actually, it's not necessarily us picking and choosing. Everything has to be Title IX compliant. And so people can come to us and they can request it. And then we can
we'll have a school liaison that we would work with. But every single penny that we donate has to be approved by the school. So whether that, and I don't know if it's this, that, I don't know if it's Terry Hauser that would be approving that, or if it goes through the superintendent
I
or
think
the
those are good
liaison.
questions. Terry Hauser will be the contact, but we'll probably have to keep some oversight on it just because of how quickly we can get in trouble with if we're not Title IX compliant. But I think we had a good meeting the other day. I think we're well aware that it's a collaboration. We talk about it, and it's not just, it can't be earmarked. We're only going to give money to this. It has to be a need that the district has in agreement with their ability to provide it. I'm excited that we've got some support.
So is this on top of the budget that's already set aside for athletics, so it's going to be a double budget type of thing then?
Yes. Yes. This would not be funded by the school at all.
So it's not gonna take away from the athletic budget at all?
No.
It's still gonna be there. So
Nope,
extra
basically,
stuff that's-
we would be, yeah, so like one of the things they said, for instance, is, you know, maybe having to get up at 5:30 in the morning instead of staying the night before. Or in wrestling situations, sometimes putting us at 3:30 in the morning to drive to a tournament. You know, it's possible that we would be able to raise the funds and tell the school, you know, you guys have this tournament going on. Cause I mean, I think right now volleyball has 2 tournaments that are overnight. I don't know about football, but I mean, basketball has at least 1 that I know of. Golf has overnights. I mean, you take those away and you're really cutting what these kids are gonna be able to do. So I know my hope is that we're able to raise enough funds to be able to not take away tournaments away from the kids. Nor put bus drivers in positions where they're, you know, warming up the bus at 3:30 in the morning and parking it at 1 AM. So, which can happen a lot. Some of these trips are far. So, yeah, so this would be basically, we would be raising funds as an outside organization, and we would make the donations to the school, and it would go to the athletic fund. So, and I know that one thing that we were discussing when we were kind of brainstorming was, you know, maybe being able to offer like a booster club scholarship. Something like that, so that, because like one of the things we put in here, it's just support athletic and academic excellence in all student athletes. So it's still focused around athletes, but obviously more than just here's your New Jersey of the student. Any other questions? Great. Okay, thank you. The only other thing it's gonna cost probably what, close to $2,000 by the time. It's gonna cost, yeah, close to $2,000 for us to get started in the beginning. So we were we didn't file any of this because honestly, we couldn't afford to without approval. So, as soon as we do have approval, we would be able to get all of that going. And then I think our biggest thing was we're hoping to get some more quotes because the quote that came back for our liability insurance was way higher than I was thinking this was. So, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve group authorization of the Freeport Skills Booster. I'll second that. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. Motion carries. Lastly, we have a discussion regarding. What?
Oh, I just said, oh,
Okay.
what?
Lastly, we have a discussion regarding a district climate survey. I can kind of take the lead on that if you guys would like. We have had some feedback both from staff and community about the potential for a climate survey. And that may or may not be completely possible the way many people may be envisioning. And I know that Rhonda and I have both reached out to Montana School Board Association. I have each of us got slightly different, but pretty similar, I'd say, responses. So I have them both printed here, if anybody wants to peruse them later. I didn't get them added to the board packet. It kind of just occurred to me that it might be helpful to have them available. And so what we may be able to do is potentially work with Montana School Board Association, potentially do something here through the district. But we need to be really careful that we're following the rules and ultimately not circumventing our grievance and complaint policy that we currently have. We can't just have some sort of free-form district thing where everybody gets to say what they feel like saying. Obviously, things could get really, really sidetracking what procedure and policy is already in place to protect our district employees who are working hard and deserve to have that respect. So the response that we got, that's probably a little bit briefer, is I'm just gonna read the short version of this. The advisability of a survey depends on certain elements. No survey, meeting, or communication should be used to circumvent the district's uniform complaint procedure. Those bringing complaints engage in a protected activity and are shielded from retaliation based on district policy. The uniform complaint procedure does not allow anonymous complaints, but rather requires them to provide a summary of factual allegations and the policy the complainant believes has been violated and a request for relief. So that's our existing policy on grievances. So we don't want to sidestep that and just kind of go nuts with the survey. If this is more of a culture and climate survey, we do provide such surveys on a fee basis to members. However, if it would be more appropriate as a formal complaint, then the survey would not be advisable. So Montana School Board Association does offer a survey that's more geared toward culture and climate. And it is not something, both Rhonda and I got an email saying, hey, we have this for a cost. And we both replied and said, hey, tell us more, what's the cost? And neither of us have gotten a reply as far as I know. I called them again today and got voicemail. So as soon as we know more about that, we'll want to probably, I would really like to potentially pursue that through particular feedback from the School Board Association so that we can respond to needs and requests that our community is posing, but also not put ourselves in a position where we're simply just not following the rules. And as a result, I really had asked to add this as a discussion item and would really welcome feedback from the rest of the board members about it. But it's something where we do have a lot going on. We didn't pass a mill levy. We're making really tough choices with employment right now. We are really posed with a lot of challenges. And I do see that there could be a benefit from a survey along these lines. And I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say about it. And I guess I just wanted to also make sure I was really clear on what parameters we're going to try to be working inside of so that we continue to follow all of our rules and stay within policy on that. So I guess any feedback from the board, I'd love to hear. If we should continue to pursue this, obviously we need to know what the cost is. That's a huge part of it. We want to know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing from community members and people at the school that it's something that they'd like to do. I think we should definitely pursue it, see how much it's gonna cost. But I really like the idea that they already have something for us to follow so that we aren't gonna be getting in trouble or violating any.
Right, and they're actually the ones that are doing the survey.
Third
So
party.
none of us are involved in it. They're doing the survey, they're getting the results. So there's that.
Who's being surveyed? Is it teachers or is it team members or both? Or can you set the parameters of who's gonna get that survey?
Probably climate and culture in the school, so teachers, administrators, everybody in the school. And I don't know.
I think that's my expectation. I don't think it would be opened up to the community at large. It's more a question about the climate and the workplace environment and, you know, what we can do to improve that if possible.
Great idea.
And, you know, potentially having MTSBA facilitate it could create an extra layer of just, I think, legitimacy without, again, circumventing any rules is the big concern.
The community asking for this to be done. They are the one that's going to be putting in the comments and stuff, or the survey and stuff like that. They just want it done to see how we're working together. I think that's the feedback that I'm getting.
Let us know what it costs, okay?
Will you guys be able to see the results? School board members?
Did you ask if the board would be able to see the results?
Correct.
I would, that's our expectation, yeah. Great, it's a discussion item, you don't have to vote on it. Any more discussion, questions, comments on that? Great.
Something was brought up, earlier this week about surveying the community and finding out, why the levies are appearing the way they are. And I think that was it was very well welcomed by staff, like, why are people in a landslide not voting for them? So I think whatever avenue that would go down, I think that's something that needs to be considered. So they can either address those concerns or address if there's misinformation or whatever it is, we need to be proactive about that.
It might be nice to throw that in kind of with the finance committee and something, because we're gonna be looking at the numbers, Leanna and I. And we definitely want to develop something she mentioned about like adding some levy talk to that, so we can do that, like align right away. Community and see, I mean, I know we've got an elderly base that's hard because they're on a fixed income. There are some tax advantageous ways to deal with that a little bit, and then we can start now instead of in 9 to 12 months and start hitting it hard and letting people know, getting the information to them so that we can build this for when it comes, they're ready to vote for it because they're prepared and they have a lot of information. So we're hoping for it.
But those are good points, and I agree with Katie. Last year, I think it's gonna take somebody spending quite a bit of time, because last year I did reach out to the elections board, and we've got multiple counties. And then I asked for a list of all the voters who voted. It's pages and pages. And then to figure out I would love to find a way that we could survey the people who voted, maybe even the people who didn't vote. Why didn't you vote? And what were the reasons you voted this way or that way? The one thing to keep in mind, we did have this discussion as well. We can, we can do a better job of having that conversation all year long, but we don't know what to ask for until we see the preliminary budget, which comes out the first week in March. So it's hard to say to the community, yeah, we're gonna need this levy, when we can't say, what is our budget going to be? So I agree, we should have some earlier conversations, but we'll have a harder time nailing down the real need until the preliminary budget's come out. And I don't know if there's anybody that has expertise on how to do a survey to, Broadwater, Gallatin, specific to our district voters.
Because some vote for high school and some vote for elementary too.
And some vote for both, and some, I know, so.
And some people didn't get ballots. That's another case too. Ask it out. Yep.
Who didn't get ballots?
I heard about a couple different people that didn't get ballots.
That'd be another.
They had to go down and actually cast a vote and actually saw it.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I mean, we're in Broadwater County, we got our ballots. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it Gallatin,
All
Broadwater,
it is-
Jefferson? Which?
I don't know for sure. All it is they have to go down to, I think the Bozeman, the courthouse, and they have to sign the thing that says they didn't get their ballot.
Right,
And,
right.
then they can vote, and if those ballots do come in, from somebody else, they rent them off this. So, and I know that did happen in other places.
Well, when you know those things, it'd be helpful, like if you tell us what county at least they're coming from, it gives us a chance to be checking into it. I knew that they could go in person. The problem is, if a person doesn't get their ballot, a lot of people aren't gonna go drive in and do it. So we need to be able to pinpoint if this is happening, where it's happening, and where they registered and all that, so.
Well, one thing to look into too is I talked to, there were 3 different seniors that were in the government class, and I took one to Bozeman and then another 2 went or whatever, but they'd signed up in the government class back a couple months ago with the teacher to be registered to vote, and when we got them there, they weren't registered. So I don't know what happened with that, how that fell through the cracks. I don't know, maybe none of them ended up being registered, but it's just interesting that 3 of them weren't registered. I didn't were able to sign up that day, but
Last year, I personally went and picked up the ballot and took it to Bozeman for them. Greg, do you know, I wasn't involved with it this year. I don't know, do you know, did they take those voter registrations in?
think they're required to send them in during a certain time frame, and you still could register for a mail.
That'd be like a month prior or something.
Yeah. They did that way early in economics classes, second semester, so I don't know if they missed the deadline or.
I like the idea of, potentially having the finance committee looking into some of that and helping us maybe gather some data on it so that we can start to kind of take a early approach to what we can do better, even if we can't say this is what we're gonna ask for, or this is what we're gonna need.
Sure.
At least to say, how do we get more than 30% of our community to vote for our schools one way or another? Do you have a question?
Yeah, just wanted a statement. I know the year that we did pass it in 2017. There were quite a few of us that went and not yours. And I mean, that was the year we passed it. And it was a lot of work. And Green Sandra was part of that. So was Kathy Rutherford. But we had a big group of people, and you know, I remember Lori Van Vliet and I took our kids with us and went and knocked on people's doors and asked them for support. And there were a lot of people who actually listened to us, and then there were some people who didn't care how young the children were that were with us, but they politely told us to get off the lawn. But neither here nor there. I mean, it was a lot of work, but that's the year we passed it. So I don't know, maybe that's something that we need to look at, you know, trying to get the stuff lined up ahead of time. So that when we know the numbers, we've got our organization and we go out and we start knocking doors and we start talking to people. Because I think I know that we got some good feedback, and that was the time to pass it.
I agree. Any more discussion on any of that? Okay, we don't need to vote or anything on it, so I think we're just looking for maybe to adjourn. I'm sorry, guys. Too many chambers over here. I'm looking for my agenda. Oh, okay. So moving on to an approval of claims for May.
I'll make the motion to approve the May claims.
I'll second. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I'd like to make a comment, and just a public comment too, because there are people that are asking about transparencies. Every claim is in every month, and so you can go through those lists, and we leave them in the board packet. They're there. And sometimes it is overwhelming to try to figure it out, and sometimes something will be listed twice. What that means is the bill was split between elementary budget and high school budget. So you might see the same type of bill right next to each other. Just keep that in mind. And Elisa is really good at answering those questions. I'm always happy to, but I just want the public to realize those claims are in there. Please ask questions.
We'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And adjourn.